welcome to another episode of Conscious Straight Talk with Katie and Lindsey.
Hi, I'm Katie Hutchinson. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a certified mediator. And we're so happy to have you here today with us.
Hi, and I'm Lindsey Kearns. I'm the mama behind MalibuMamaLoves.com, and I'm also a conscious certified trauma-informed life coach.
Yes, you are.
So we have been talking about cheating these past few days, and it's such a hard thing to talk about, and it does happen to so many people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's 1 in 4 people get cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so brave of you, Katie, to really share your story. I know it does help a lot of people to hear that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And your situation kind of spiraled out of control pretty quickly. So
really
I think it's an extreme example to kind of help other people that are going through these situations or have been through it. You're not alone. And we need to talk about it, because talking about it is the only way to kind of release it and move forward and know that it's okay.
Yeah, and I can talk about it freely now. In the beginning, I couldn't. I just was a disaster. I was basically catatonic.
It takes a lot of time,
but
you can get there. And so I just want to give you guys, if you're just joining us now, the episodes are still live up on MalibuMamaLoves.com. You can just scroll down and grab that. But Katie suspected...
Starting at 31. I'm sorry to cut you off. What episode did we start at?
I think it started at 30.
30. We think it's 30 or 31.
So Katie was suspecting her husband of cheating. He started doing some funny things. We discussed all those signs to look for and the red flags to look for in the first episode. She hid outside and overheard a phone conversation and caught him in the act of talking to this other woman whom you had no knowledge of.
No. I had an idea, but I didn't want to believe it.
Which is completely shocking, right? That is full trauma when you find that at that moment. Just unbelievable. You know, like that's just freezing.
Yeah.
And so you guys got into a little bit of an altercation, got a little physical. One of them had to go to jail, which happened to be
one of them lied for their partner, which also happened to be
you went into defense mode, defending your family. He went into attack mode. And that does happen often, right?
And those were our roles. You know, he was the attacker, as far as just like he would get really angry. Yeah. And I was the peacemaker, you know.
Right.
So
and you were caught up in that mode, as so many of us do when we're faced in that moment with the police and that situation of no, nothing happened, nothing.
Right.
No,
like,
you know, I just pushed him. It was no big deal. Just go home.
So we can deal with our cheating.
That's not what can happen when someone else is in the other room saying something else.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is also about spreading awareness in that we all do need to be smart in these situations.
Yeah.
So you spent the night in jail. You got home. We had
I'm
jailhouse therapy last time. You get home. You're wanting to go to sleep, but your therapist says, no, you need to call a lawyer. You need to get on this. A DV charge, domestic violence charge, is no joke.
So then my mom and I pulled up on Google and we started just calling lawyers, and I would be like, oh, hi, could you represent me? And they were like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd say, what's it about? And I said, oh, it's domestic violence. They said, what do you mean? And they said, well, who's the violent one? Your husband? And I said, no, well, I was arrested. I mean, yeah, he tried to kill me, but I was the one that was arrested. And they were like, yeah, I can't take you. So we went through like 7 of those where they were like, no, you don't understand. If you have DV, this is it. Like, no, you won't. It's too much. I can't handle it. You're going to lose everything. The chances of you getting anything are about 2%. So at that point I was like, you know what, Mom, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And that's that. So I go upstairs. I go to sleep. I don't know how long I think your heart
just sinks even more.
It was. I mean, it's like nobody even then wanted to take my case. It was rather sad. Anyway, so then I go to sleep and I hear the phone ringing downstairs because my mom actually has a landline. Like, who has a landline in this day and age? Not
my
me.
Parents do too.
I know. Sweet. My dad does too. Anyways, so I hear it ringing and then my mom comes up and knocks on the door. And she's like, honey. And I'm like, what? And she's like, honey, your husband's on the phone. Like, he wants to talk to you. And I was like, so I get up and I go downstairs and I said, what? And he's like, I want to go out tonight and somebody needs to watch the kids. So can you come home? And instead of me just reacting aggressively or whatever, I just was like, I was so beaten down at this point and so tired and just out of it that I was like, okay, I'll come home, knowing that he wanted to go out to be with his girlfriend. So I go home and I just sink into bed, which is my happy place. I sink into my bed. but our closet is right next to the bed, and he's trying on all these various shirts, you know, to go out to a fine restaurant in LA with his girlfriend. He's like, which one do you think looks better on me? He had the audacity to ask me which one looked better on him. And I had the audacity to answer him and be like, wear the flowered one. Because I was just so, I was out of it and I couldn't fight anymore.
You know, I don't know if you've ever seen that show Made, but I just want to compare this one for a minute because they did such a phenomenal job representing what a woman goes through now. She was being severely abused by her husband.
Right.
But this one scene that I'm talking about, she had left. She'd been away for 3 or 4 weeks. He lured her back in. The first night, he beat the crap out of her. She went to the hospital. She came home the next day. So it's similar that she was in hospital. You were in jail.
Yeah.
But it was that moment when she walked in, and this was so fantastically done. She sits down on the couch, and you see the screen just shifts with her. You just see her fall over. You see life going on around her and her not moving, and the couch opening up, and it's like you're falling into that deep black hole. And people would walk by. She couldn't even respond. Like you're saying, you just go into that autopilot, that comatose, like
catatonic almost.
And I think it's partially, you know, when your sympathetic nervous system is on for so long, your body can't only handle it.
Because then so you go,
it just shuts down. You just stop. After a while. I think that's where you were
I think your parasympathetic, I think your parasympathetic nervous system is in like, we just have to protect this person before they die. So he leaves. I don't think he gets back till like 4:00 that night. I don't even know. I was out of it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. So during this time, I had said to my dad, I really believe that death, divorce, breakup, losing a business, it all relates to the 5 stages of death. Elizabeth Kubler's 5 stages of death, except for I'd like to add a couple stages. But I definitely was in denial, which is the first stage of death.
Because it's so surreal. When you're in that moment, you're like, is this really happening?
Well, it's
no way.
It's like I'm losing my family. I'm losing my hopes and dreams. I'm losing my future. I'm losing my husband with the, you know, like when we're going to be grandparents someday.
It's the death of a childhood dream. We all have that perfect husband
with
and
the
children
white
and the white picket
and
fence.
the golden retriever.
Yeah.
And so I still was in denial. And I said to my dad, we need to hire a private investigator because we don't know if he cheated. And my dad was like, okay. I think he just was going along with me because I was such a wreck. And so we did hire a private investigator. During this time, I also did talk the ex-husband, except for he wasn't an ex yet, into going to therapy where he just continued to lie and said he was not cheating, that I was crazy. He never has cheated a day in his life, blah, blah, blah. And I was honest and he wasn't. And I just felt like, what am I doing? This is a moot point. You know what I mean?
When did you hire the private investigator?
I had hired the private investigator before that, but the private investigator was still working on it because it was hard for the private investigator to follow him because he was going like 90 miles an hour in Brentwood.
And you were under the impression that this woman lived in New York.
Yes.
So you had no idea that he was carrying on with someone in your backyard.
But I had talked to a private investigator who was a friend of the family before. I think I had said this. And this man said, no, this woman is in LA. And I said, no, he's going to New York all the time. She's in New York. Well, it turns out she lived in LA, but he was just taking her to New York with him. So I guess we both were sort of right. You know, so anyway, so where am I?
Sorry, so you're calling, or you have trying to find lawyers.
Yes. We went to therapy. The private investigator was having.
You went to therapy after you went to jail?
Yeah. Because I still wanted to work it out. I was like, it's just a little cheating, you know, like if he cheated, like we can get through this, you know, because honestly, as a therapist, I truly believe that some relationships are strengthened when when there is cheating going on, because then you get to the root of the issue.
What's going on?
What is the root of the issue? Yeah. I feel ignored. I feel lonely. Whatever it is.
Everyone's experience is different, but that is completely possible. And I'm sure in that moment you're going through denial. Then it's like, no, we can fix this.
Right. No, I wanted to fix it. But you know what? In order to have that healing, you have to be authentic and you have to be honest.
Right.
And there was no honesty coming from his side.
Well, because he wasn't wanting to do that.
No. Even to this day, he says I'm crazy and he never cheated on me and that I'm crazy. So,
And they had pictures, right?
well, so the private investigator was having a hard time keeping up with him because he said he's going 90 in a 30-mile, speed zone. I'm like, speed up then. Just speed up. Go 90. Stay with him. He's like, you just went through a red light. I go through it. Anyways, he finally, I told him, these are the restaurants he goes to, blah, blah, blah. That's where he'll be. Go. And so within about 2.5 weeks, he catches him with the girlfriend coming out of a restaurant. He takes a picture. It's grainy, but it's definitely him with the girlfriend. And I still, of course, totally out of it. I had to take sleeping pills to sleep. And even then I'd wake up at like 2, I'd sleep for like 2 hours. And so I was out of it. And so when I got this picture from the private investigator, I texted it to like 20 of my friends being like, because they were all, just
worried
going,
and
what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, he's been caught. Well, accidentally also sent the picture to him, included him on the list of friends, of which I did not mean to do. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't terribly right on my part. But like I said, I was out of it. And so then the next day I called my friend. I said, get here at like 6 a.m. I don't want to be alone, just in case he like comes home. Not that I thought he was going to attack me or anything like that, but I just didn't want to be alone.
Well, now he's aware that there's hard evidence. There's no getting around this.
Well, he still stared in my face and still to this day says, you are crazy. And I never cheated. But anyway, so he did show up at the house. I saw his car and I saw him like pull down to the cul-de-sac because he noticed that my friend's car was there. And then I saw him sit there and then he drove off. So I think he was thinking like, oh, I don't want to go in. If her friend's there, I don't know what to do. And I always wonder like, what would have happened? Could we have had a calm conversation about what had happened? No, probably not, because he would have kept lying. So, anyways, then that later on that day, I get this really sweet woman that calls and she's like, hi, is this Katie Hutchinson? I said, yes, this is she. And she goes, hi, you've been called in on an emergency ex parte hearing for tomorrow. It's 12 o'clock. See you there.
Now, if you guys don't know what this is, an emergency ex parte motion is a motion that is filed calling to get in front of the judge within 24 hours, and they only need to have one party present. So meaning it's a really sneaky thing to do in that situation. He's hoping that you wouldn't show up.
And I didn't even have a lawyer still because nobody wanted me.
But that's part of the trick of the ex parte. That's what it means. The judge can hear the case with only one person present.
Right.
If it's just an emergency motion, everybody has to be there or the judge can't hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know that, but I did think, well, she said I had to be in court. So I guess I just have to be in court. So we finally end up finding this man. He was a tennis player. So I thought, maybe he's a good person.
He understood you.
He understood me. Yeah. And he was a really good person. And the thing is my ex-husband's lawyer was very much like him, a fighter, a big red ant in the desert. You know what I mean? Like scary.
Yeah.
And I picked somebody that was very nice. And they say you pick a lawyer that is like your personality. You pick somebody that has the same personality as you.
Yeah.
And I needed to go opposite and get somebody that was really vicious, but I didn't. So, my lawyer said, because I just got him, he said, I just want you to know that he can have you kicked out within 24 hours. So you need to start packing tonight because you could get kicked out tomorrow after we go to court. And I'm like, what are the chances of that? He's like 99.9%. I was like, oh, great. So my sister flew in from Connecticut and a bunch of my friends came over and we were just packing stuff, just packing. But I really all I really cared about was like my family heirlooms, the pictures of the children. I just took some clothes for the kids, some clothes for myself. I really left mostly everything to him, except for just the things that were from my family that, were important to me and the pictures. And I'm glad I took the pictures because the kids tell me now that he's erased every single picture of me. So they have no pictures.
Aww.
Yeah. Of, you should keep the pictures. So anyways, we go to court. I get kicked out of my house. My sister is frantically calling hotels. My ex-husband before this had offered to me, he was like, why don't I stay in the house 1 week and you stay at your mom's 1 week and then you stay in the house 1 week and I'll go somewhere 1 week. Yeah, you'll go to your girlfriend's house.
Some people can do that. I've heard people successfully doing that, but not in a situation where there's one party that's like, really hurt.
No, I'm going to hit him with a baseball bat. Not really, but it wouldn't have worked. So my sister's on the phone, like finding a hotel that I can go to. We race home back from court because they said, yeah, you're kicked out. And we load up my car, load up her car, and it's like 4:52. My sister's like, he's coming at 5. He's coming at 5. You got to go, or they'll arrest you. They literally will come and pull you out of your house. So she's like, get in the car, go. So as I'm going this way, and I'm just like hysterical, like crying, hysterically crying, and just numb and out of it, and just a disaster. I pass him as he's heading to the house with his windows rolled down and the skylight open, and he's like singing to loud music, his big smile on his face. And I was just like, you are like the meanest person I have ever met. So from there, I ended up at the Residence Inn. I did have a suite, which is, you know,
a
house,
long couple of months.
the children. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that next time, I think, right?
Yes.
Continue this on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But for now and for today, you guys, you're not alone.
No.
If you've been cheated on, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard thing to get through, so don't go through it alone.
No,
reach
out
talk
to us.
You've been hearing this story so bravely being told
by a marriage and family therapist at that. So,
yeah. So, all right, you guys have a great hump day.
Yes.
And we will see you
Wednesday.
again
We'll
on
see you
Friday.
on Friday. Bye.
Bye.